Iffy, welcome to the dev update, and all the members, listeners, to our 12th episode. Oh my God, time flies. That's like 3 months already, Nabil. Can you imagine?
Wow, 3 months already.
Yeah,
It feels like yesterday.
yeah, for real. And today, me and Nabil got you a special guest. We've been talking about him, in the past two devs updates, where people were asking, how is the economy decided, and for the future, for the crafting and all that, how much takes, to craft, I don't know, a couch or whatever, right? So we decided, why not? Let's invite Iffy. And Iffy, welcome to Devs Update. This is a chill space where we hang out with community. They ask us questions. I ask you questions, stuff like that. So, welcome.
Hello, guys. Well, pleasure to be here. Definitely. Whatever
And
questions you have, whatever I can answer, I will.
don't be
Nice to have
afraid.
you, Epe.
We don't bite.
Hello,
No one
Nabil.
bites.
Hey, hey.
No,
Funny story. Funny story that we need to say first, or is it a story or is it an anecdote? Nabil, you have a history with Iffy, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Of course I do.
yeah, we've worked on many projects and had lots of fun on trips and
Yeah,
adventures in real life.
absolutely.
Awesome,
Me and
Iffy.
Epe,
So,
we go way back.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard that at some point, Iffy was your boss.
That is absolutely true. He still is my mentor. I still regard him as a mentor, and he was one of the best bosses I have ever had.
That's amazing.
Amazing learning
Oh,
experience.
so nice of you to say that. I'm glad. I thought I was a little strict or something, maybe. But we had a lot of fun,
Oh,
eh?
absolutely,
Little
absolutely.
djembe bongo we would play in trips, you know,
Yeah, yeah. Good old
even though we
days.
didn't know how to. Yeah.
You guys talk like you're 60 years old, and you're like, oh my God, back in the 80s when you were still using the abacus and abac and Pentium
Hey, my kid is
64.
like 7 years old, and he tells me that stories about his childhood already. I mean,
Okay, Iffy. So tell us a bit about yourself, and what is your role at Big Immersive and in Virtua, and what areas do you cover?
yeah, definitely. It's been quite a good time working with Virtua so far, and I'm just fortunate to be one of those guys that gets to work in a profession that they like, which in my case is games and specifically video games. I do work as a game designer, and I specialize in game economy, which kind of is a exaggerated version of the real world economy and a simplified one as well. So and in as for like my kind of career history, so to say, I did start out with like all the uh, data analysis and business analyst for telcos and these kind of bigger companies in my younger days, but then realized that need to start working on something that you're passionate about. Um, it's a lot more rewarding, and it was a good move. So then I moved to game studios and Tixel in Pakistan. Lahore was a nice one. I graduated, by the way, from Winnipeg, from the cold city of Winnipeg, Canada, and like worked there in the telco industry. And when I moved to Pakistan, like around 15 years ago, that's when I moved to the gaming. And I've been like doing game designing for 15 years almost now. Virtua, again, we kind of started almost a year ago, I would say, and then started all these talks with the entire team about what the whole this metaverse was and everything, and a lot of good work has been done on this for years now, actually. So I was the one to come and catch up on this humongous project. But yeah, that's the short form of what I do.
Awesome. So where were you working before you joined Virtua, and what kind of gaming What kind of games? On what kind of games were you working?
Yeah, so I worked and worked on our hyper casual games. We had three categories. It was a pretty huge team. We had a pretty big development power, so we had three tiers of games that we would develop that include like small games that are kind of quicker, and then there was mid-core games similar to like racing games and idle clicker games, these kind of things. And then there was like AAA games that we would be working on usually, which would be a little more strategy-based games, kind of like building, crafting, civilization type games. So that's like the background, I guess. Then we worked on a lot of like on my like other ventures, I would say. I in the last 4 years, I've worked on a lot of other like client games as well, just to get some exposure on different kind of game economies or whatnot, and that was also very nice.
So on what would you say that's like the the toughest thing to do when designing a game economy? What is what is that where you say, for example, this will take the most time from me? Is it the research? Is
Yeah,
it the what?
yeah, definitely. I think so. I'll start off with a little bit about the process. So the first thing is essentially in any kind of metaverse or any kind of game, you need to figure out what the uh, the environment is, what kind of resources are available there, and what is the situation like. Uh, what are people's motivation to do stuff, because that's going to drive the demand, right? So the whole equation in any kind of game economy is the equation of demand versus supply. So if the situation is if that there's a war, then obviously like there will be items like weapons and maybe fighter jets that'll be in demand, and that's the kind of the gameplay will revolve around that. If it's kind of a peaceful game, you'll have more luxurious items that give you like look and feel kind of bonuses. And then this whole thought process is what the entire team kind of goes through in the beginning, which takes a lot of time. I think once they kind of identify what kind of items are in demand, and we kind of figure out, okay, if this is the demand, then to make the game competitive, that initial balancing of how many items there are, how many of them are consumables or not, and then balancing them out in a way that the game is good for the explorers, where they can actually come into the game, get some items, explore the game, enjoy, achieve some things. And it's also scarce enough, all the supply of things, that there's a competition going on, whereas people want certain items to be made by crafting or some raw resources. So I think that initial balancing for me is the most time consuming part, because you're actually running simulations. Like obviously the thinking part starts usually on something like a Figma board or something, where you're kind of connecting all the nodes together. Then we move on to Excel sheets for a long period of time. But at the end of it, when you have like kind of figured out, okay, these are the kind of values that we want to see how they work, then we do for certain tasks move to simulation tools. One of them like that I use usually is Mathematica, and it's kind of complicated. That's why it's not used for like everything. But for major things, that's what we do then. So I would say that's the main part, and then the ongoing thing again is once the game is launched and everything. After that, you also need to kind of balance out continuously, month after month, through customer feedback, through just a logical implementation of things, whether people are able to get certain points or not. So yeah, that would be the thing. But the initial balancing it takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds complicating.
Yeah.
So um, let's discuss let's discuss a bit about the for example, the Cardano Island or the Monster Zone, um, the economy that you were working on. What was your thinking behind it? How did you come up to those ratios that then you used? How much cardanium someone gets, or how much wood, or how much sticky glue, and how does that compare to Monster Zone, for example?
So I was kind of fortunate in this because when I came in, Gary and Doug were already here, and they're pretty huge pros. So working with them, it was kind of easy to kind of take some stuff from them and then work on the grind essentially to balance things out. So initially, though, like the resources part for when we thought about it, essentially, like it was for the entire planet. Like so, we have kind of figured out like this is how many resources should be produced from a planet of this size, and uh, right now the ones that are launched, obviously we declare those ones. Okay, these are the names of these resources. So currently for Cardano and Monster, out of that like entirety of resources that are available on the planet, we kind of divided them into different scarcities based on their essentially value that they'll provide, both in terms of look. Obviously, that's the obvious one, but mainly of the utility that they'll provide in the metaverse. So there's ADNA, for example, and Monster Zone, which is a legendary item. So there's a ratio of how much uh, like common versus legendary is being produced on each plot. And then again, as I think you can see on the wiki and other site pages, there's like a whole I don't know. It's like a whole algorithm that we built to make sure that all these ratios and all these like formulas are balanced out. So again, the smaller and the common ones get least resources, where the larger and legendary ones get more resources. But it's not to a point where it's completely imbalanced, where they get legendary gets so much more that the smaller one can't survive. And this again comes back to the balancing is what we did using different tools. The simulation tools we actually ran through the numbers that if this is how many players were there and this is what was being generated, would a small player be able to craft certain items? So and also like I guess at that point the how we calculate how much should somebody be able to collect depends on how many items should be built basically within the metaverse based on the needs of all the players in the metaverse. So an example could be cars, where if there's just an example, if there's 1,000 players in a community, they probably need around 1,000 cars. So we only want to distribute enough raw material that can eventually make car parts and then cars that amount to around 1,000. Unless again, just like real world, that community starts demanding that we need more cars, then you find alternatives, or simply put, just like the real world, the price of that item starts going higher. So so that's the kind of again very nerdy answer. I'm trying to simplify as much as possible, but
I think you have I think you have a fan, right? XIP is actually one of our whales, and he's excited to hear that stuff. So you're saying that's not that those things don't just happen in your head, right? You come up with some, okay, this legendary will have that much and small will have that much. It's all run through different simulations, and how much that would be if we add another island and all that stuff. So it's not that easy. Goes a lot of work goes into that economy stuff.
yeah, the head stuff never works. You have to put it through a computer that can simulate it like millions of times to give you with a little value changes. So those simulations need to be done. Otherwise, right off the bat, you're gonna be suffering.
Oh, awesome to hear that. I imagine this a bit differently, that you just sit down and you open some Excel sheet and you start working. But thank you, thank you for explaining that part. So
Yeah,
are you working on that stuff alone, or do you have like help from Gary, Doug, those kind of guys who work?
Gary and Doug are like the main guys I look up to for this kind of stuff. They're like the kind of subject matter experts, and it's for my own good as well. Yes, for my own like career growth and everything. I work with them a lot. And then there's also like a lot of other team members, other game designers on Virtua, and producers, and of course the developers, which have to then implement all of this stuff. So there's continuous interaction with a lot of team members, and we have a bunch of good ones, definitely good ones, like top class ones.
Oh, awesome to hear that. So I have a bit funny question, and if anyone has any question for Iffy, put them in the chat. I'll read them after. And if you have it for Nabil as well, Nabil is actually driving to a dinner with his wife, but I think he'll be able to manage a question or two. So
Of
when
course, of course, just throw them at me and I will answer them. However, Yaka, this time around, you'll have to read them to me. I
yes,
can't
I will
look at my phone. Thank you.
for sure. So Effie, when you joined a Big Immersive and Virtua, and you first heard about the NFTs, I guess, right? What was your initial thinking behind it?
Yeah, I was quite like up to date with like blockchain and all that stuff coming out, but only to the point of reading articles and feeds and videos and just kind of friends that are working on it. So this was like my first practical experience in the and definitely in this field, NFTs and blockchain and all that, and it was really exciting to actually see something like this actually put to work, because I mean we've been playing games like Minecraft, and I mean my kids play Roblox and like all these kind of different open world games where you can actually acquire all these items, but you could never own them, right? So that actually that little thing all of a sudden kind of says, hey, you can actually own a game item, like that's pretty neat. And then all these exciting projects started kind of popping out every year. So it was nice. It was very nice to actually start working on something like this that's very complementing to games.
Yeah, and my question goes to the next question, because you also work very closely on the items for crafting, right? And how do you decide how much one item costs, and why is that? Is that the look? Is that the rarity use case? When you were creating those list of items that people will be able to craft, what kind of thinking goes behind that? Why something costs so much, and just yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's different factors that contribute to it. Uh, Again, for example, we have obsidian as one of the resources, and if we're making obsidian sword, then obsidian is a very common resource on the planet. That right away the resources that are used to create that sword are very common, so the price will be on the lower end. Now the look and feel of it, again, that also plays a part. So if that obsidian sword looks really amazing, then any other sword that we have made, then obviously we know already that its demand is going to be higher. We actually and it's not just my opinion as well. Even for like this kind of looks and stuff, we have like lots of people involved in actually rating items on different categories. That includes looks, that includes the resources that are made to that are used to make the item, and then also the utilization of the items that's coming out. So uh, what that does is, if you categorize it, is sometimes, even if you own a small land, but it has obsidian that makes a really kick-ass looking sword which has lots of utility, all of a sudden you're making a very kind of high utility item with a very cheap resource, essentially. So in that case, we'll actually bump up the resource price. So you can still make good items with lower end resources and vice versa. But somehow we then have to balance in each of the categories. That if it's really high on utility, high on looks, then it has to be then bad for how many amount is required. So it's going to be lots of amount required resource wise. So all that goes, and then at the end of it, like this is the initial pricing, right? Based on our observation, this is a continuous process. So once actually people start crafting it, they are the ones who will be the real kind of deciders of how much something costs. Because they'll be selling it and to each other, and utilizing these items in the metaverse, and kind of just like the real world again, just kind of balancing out the prices, and which is a better way. I think the players should decide the pricing of the item eventually, uh, rather than us sitting here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when we release the first items, for example, it will give us, much better look into, what people actually wanna craft, what was the most popular items crafted and what was not as popular. So it's then it's much easier to adapt with all the, next items coming and all that. And, we might not get it right the first time, right? So that's why.
Yeah, but
Um,
one good thing I would like to share is that what I heard when I came in was very nice to hear, is that the basic items, let's say, for example, common items or legendary items, so they all have to look kick-ass. Is the kind of
yeah.
order we were given, is that none of them can look basic. So
Well, knowing Assad that basic
yeah,
doesn't cut with
yeah.
him.
So yeah, which is nice, because I mean, it is, we are talking about virtual items. Like, they have to look good, no matter how cheap they are or how common they are.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a few minutes of break, and I'm gonna ask Nabil some questions that I've saw in the chat. Nabil, if you're able to answer, otherwise I'll try from what I've been talking
Throw
with
them, throw them
Sharuf
at
today.
me. Throw them at me.
Throwing. Wait, I'm searching for it. Um,
Otherwise, I'll pretend to be Nabil. I'll try to talk in his voice. I could
um,
I wish I could replicate your hair, but no, I couldn't.
no, no one
Ah.
can replicate
Even
his
even
hair. His hair, it's like.
Genetics,
mm,
genetics. That's all.
oh man.
Uh, an update on when current issues with dashboard will be resolved, Nabil.
Yeah, so the good thing is that the team is constantly working on sending fixes and everything. And with the dashboard, we are hoping to get get everything done maximum by Monday, because we fixed some issues, then we realized that okay, there are some more as well. So we're just continuously updating and continuously refactoring things to make it better. So don't worry, guys. The team is on it, and all the issues will be solved.
Yeah, and a lot of issues were already solved. I know, a few of the members had a problem with bots not showing up, and that was
Mm.
resolved. Um, I've now seen, Minty. I know about your problem. You put the bots on and you saved, and after 24 hours, all the bots fall off the land.
Yeah,
And
I
of
was
course,
reading about that particular bug as well, which which we couldn't replicate at the moment, but we'll debug it. We'll debug it. No issues.
yeah. So I'm not worried about that. I get it's not fun, right, Minty? I know that you have a lot of land, so it's like very not fun to do that. Put them on, and the next day after 24 hours they fall off. But guys will figure it out. If Nabil say it's gonna be fixed by Monday, I trust him. Um, and even Monday is a minor bot mint, and you won't be thinking about that. And it's Easter, right? Easter. Do you guys celebrate Easter? No,
I'll
right?
celebrate whenever, when.
As long as we can eat and drink, I'm fine with it. I celebrate all the holidays. Um, wait, and then viral music had. Oh, this one will be good. Maybe both of you can answer. Maybe you have some experience as well, if you on that part. What is blocking us in allocating more memory for each occurrence of the crypts? I think the problem is the out of memory or something like that that happens with few
Yes,
of the members.
so it's with the cribs, right? With cribs and WebGL, there's only a limited amount of memory that it can use, depending on the system as well. And it's just that Virtua and the community has so many items that on WebGL it at times breaks. And if it were like an experience where we we could limit the amount of items and everything, then optimizing it to that extent is easier. But over here, since there are like a wide variety of NFTs, both 3D and 2D, and all of them have different sizes and everything, so this can be a bit tricky. Um, but as far as completely getting this issue solved, there we did they did debug what was causing this, and that was like multiple calls on with the Nami wallet, and we're working on a fix for that, so that no matter how many items you have in your Nami wallet, it wouldn't say out of memory. And once we get to mobile and PC, then these out of memory issues will all of a sudden be irrelevant, because we won't be getting those kind of error messages anymore.
Awesome. That's really really good to hear. And yeah, because I know, for example, I think it was Ivor, right? Ivor had a problem because he has, I don't know, 500 items in his wallet, right? And as soon as he went into inventory and started scrolling through the items in the Cardano NFTs, it just ran out of memory. So, but this won't happen, right? This is happening just because it's WebGL, right? Something like that won't happen eventually when we have a standalone PC version, right? We need to know the limitations of the web still.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. And someone asked me, the standalone version will be in Unity or in Unreal?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah,
It
sorry.
broke for me.
The standalone version, when we have the standalone version built for PC, is that gonna be in Unity or in Unreal?
Unity, sir, Unity.
Unity. Okay, cool.
We already have an Unreal fan cave for the Virtua for Virtua users.
For
That
the
one is
virtual
in
items.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Yes, the fan cave and the Terradome. That is an Unreal.
the old Steradome. That was a fun one. And I know why, I know why Viral Music is asking this, because he was used to when we had when we had Fan Cave and when we had the Terradome, he was making a lot of clips and movies from that, and the quality of items was much better. But of course, only me and him and a few others were able to run it. Other people didn't have graphic card good enough to run it on a proper setting. So this building it on WebGL opens up um, to much more users. So I think getting it right here and then just transforming that as well on the standalone, where we can offer a better experience, is the right way to do it. Because the majority of users will still be in the web. We need to know that web and the phone, right? Um, but yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I agree that a standalone build is also important, especially for people who are more into the quality. What's your thinking behind it? Behind here, Iffy?
Yeah, same thing actually. Like standalone uh, can actually include a lot more assets, higher qualities or whatnot. But at the same time, like you know, people like me, even like my travel laptop can't. Um, run a lot of those things. So I think it's better to kind of reach out to more audience first, where they can experience and give you a lot of feedback, and then implement all that good stuff in a much better quality version and launch that.
Nabil, Viral Music is asking you, are we aiming to achieve an MMORPG gameplay? If yes, what is the time frame we are looking at?
MMORPG?
Yes.
I don't think so. At the moment, we are trying to achieve a gameplay of that scale because that is a very broad term. And whenever someone says MMORPG, I am immediately transported to the World of Warcraft. And that is something phenomenal.
It is, right? I mean, eventually, right? Eventually, when things develop, but the most important thing I think of the metaverse is the back end, and how do you connect other games to it, right? Not
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and that's why the games API, right? That we're building. Maybe you can have a word or two about that, and why is that an important part? Why is games
Yeah,
API important part?
that is important to bridge the Web 2.0 world with the Web 3.0 and make a Web 2.5 the metaverse kind of thing. That's what we're trying to achieve, and connecting developers with the metaverse so that you can buy and sell in-game assets freely without having to sell your entire account. So that's the thinking over there.
Yeah, because right now, if you're trying to sell something in one of the games that you have, you need to sell the whole account. So that's what we are trying to solve when it comes to gaming. And when Doug was at the GDC, right, that was one of the things that the game developers were like the most interested in. How can they connect to the central system? Uh, who will offer them that central system where they can users can interact, sell items, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be, I think, the most important part of the metaverse, offering that additional experience, right? Where it's like a social place plus trading, crafting, new items, ports into games. That is gonna be the stuff.
Huge, huge. It's going to be huge, Yaka.
So how are we planning to lure a non-NFT guy into virtual metaverse and make it appealing? You wanna answer that, Nabil, or should I?
You go ahead. Traffic is a bit insane right now.
Yeah, no
Sorry.
worries. So viral music, just what we were now talking about, right? With the games API that we're developing, and it should be, I think it should be ready by May, or I think you said May, Nabil. Not gonna put words in your mouth, but I think it's May when we start onboarding, the Web 2 games into our stream that I was talking the previous week, where we will be putting everyone in the same stream. That doesn't matter if you're a gamer or if you're a crypto person, a staker, or you're an NFT guy. Everyone will go in the same stream. What will be your path in that stream? That's going to be completely up to you. But same goes for the Web2 gamers, right? We will offer them that additional experience that they don't have at the game that they are playing, right? So, and that is that immersive experience where they can be in the metaverse. They can hang out, trade with other players,
I
trade
think
for.
again, the one of the most important things Jaka just said. Sorry to cut you off, but is the ownership, right? Like a Web 2 gamer comes in from playing, casual Play Store games, and all of a sudden he's realizing, hey, I can actually connect a wallet and own this item that's in the game. That's a big motivator, which they can't do otherwise normally in games.
Yeah, and for us, the main goal is to not even bother them with that create a wallet, because we will create a wallet for you as soon as you log in to Virtua. We create you a wallet already, so you have a wallet, so you don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
How I need to go now and open up a MetaMask and write down those 24 words and all that. That usually, in 90% of the gamers, that's where it ends. When he needs to open up some new wallet, download some MetaMask, it's too much, right? What we need is a one-step login. Even if you just come to a virtual website and it says log in with Google, that's fine, right? That's where we already will create you an account. Username, password is what you're going to decide, but the account, that the wallet will already be created for you.
Yeah, that's how my
And that's
journey started.
yeah,
Actually, it was easier for me because I just had a virtual account, and then
yeah,
later on, when I had to, own an item and transfer it, that's actually the first time I learned how to connect a actual crypto wallet and go create one.
yeah,
But yeah, it was very easy for me to transition that way.
yeah. But we all need to realize that none of this will happen, overnight. So this is gonna take a while. Web 2 gamers are not ready for this, right? So we are developing things right now. We are in the 1980s of the internet. We are developing stuff now for them that they might, some will realize in a year that this is good for them. For some, it will take much longer. It's just a natural process. I remember, when we were, in 1995, my father said that we'll never have an internet at home because we don't need it. Who needs an internet? Why do you need it? My mom said, are you gonna, watch the ladies on the internet? Why do you need internet, right? 10 years later, everyone had internet and everyone was using internet, and now we can't live without internet. So that's how I see the gaming world will also develop in this direction. We just need to be there and ready and have the tech ready, that we can offer them support when they are
Absolutely.
prepared to dive into this. And we have the right people in places that are always in talk with those studios. Doug, Gary, Rory, they are on all the major gaming conventions, listening to feedback, listening to what needs to be done, what they expect, what the developers expect from a company like Virtua to integrate, to make it more fun for the players, stuff like that. Because right now everyone asks, all the developers, they ask, what's in it for us? Why would we integrate NFTs, or why would we integrate into Metaverse? Uh, we don't need it. I mean, our users are not asking for it. So, we need to give time for this, um, for this tech to get more and more and more into everyday use case. Nothing will happen overnight. The what we are achieving this by May. Yeah, by May we will have the first version of the game's API, which will allow us to already integrate the other games that are not virtual games. And assuming we would have addressed the lag seen currently in crypts. What do you mean with lag? You have a lag? I don't.
Lagging, as in it's the game is lagging, or LACK, lacking.
Lag, lag. The assets are framing. That's more usually. I don't know about your internet connection, but I thought that's the trouble as well, until I was in Dubai and I had like really really good internet connection, and then there was no lag and everything was like opening up so fast. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. If you have a very powerful one, yeah. Hmm.
And then also generally lagging is also associated with the amount of things that are running inside the WebGL experience. Like, for example, if you have a lot of assets and you do not have a very powerful system with enough RAM or graphics processing, it might lag. So that can also be one more reason. But it's always helpful to open up a support ticket with your system specifications and everything, just so that we have more information about the issue that anyone is facing.
Yeah, I see viral music is comparing it to Terradome, but that's two completely different things, right? In Terradome, your assets downloaded to your computer.
Oh,
And
and
the
one more thing, the Terradome, it's a standalone PC build.
yeah,
So WebGL versus standalone, standalone is always going to win in terms of performance and the total number of polygons that you can show on the screen, along with, of course, the textures and everything. They'll be higher quality. So yeah, it's a difficult boat to balance.
yeah. But viral, I think you missed that part when we said that, the standalone will be much better when it comes to the quality of the assets and, how everything runs. But WebGL has its own limitations, so that's why all the new games that you download from the Epic Store or something has like 100 gigabytes of data, and we are running this on your browser. So that's the biggest difference. I remember even the Terradome itself was like what 5 gigabytes of data to download first. It was a huge file.
It's a 2.4 GB download installer, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, or
yeah,
it was 1.9, something like that.
yeah, something like that. It was pretty big. Yeah. Okay, guys. So thanks for if anyone has any question more for Iffy or Iffy, if there's anything you wanna talk about it more and show or something, now's the time.
No, I'm just very excited to be here. Hopefully, people have some questions lined up for me next time as well. I'll probably drop by.
Oh yeah, for sure. We will be gathering questions, and the ones that I received for now, I was compiling into our talk and narrative. So I think a lot of questions were answered. Minor bot gameplay leak. Nabil, are we ready for minor bot gameplay leak? Not, we are not. We are doing some more art. Um,
Yeah, more polishing, more polishing.
yeah, Jawad was not
It
happy
needs
yet.
to look good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We weren't happy either.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Um, okay, so thanks both of you, Nabil and Iffy, for stopping by. Iffy, we will invite you. We will invite you back for sure.
Yes,
As
thank
soon as we have more stuff about the crafting out, I'll get you on. So maybe you and Sharuz can speak more about the basic idea and
But
everything behind it. So
yeah,
yeah,
that would be amazing having Shiroz and Iffy on the dev update call.
yeah.
We should definitely do that. And
Uh,
for next week, Yaka, I have a very special guest lined up.
whew.
Assad.
Oh my God, yes, Assad is great.
Yep.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
I've already lined him up. Yes, I trapped him.
Yeah, it's super fun,
He can.
hard to get him.
Yeah,
He's always working.
you guys already know Assad. He's the uh, head of art. Is that correct term?
Yes, that is correct.
Head of art. Yeah, and I really love his works. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Wait.
Although one correction though, although head of art we love to call him, officially he is the CCO,
Oh,
the chief
CCO.
creative officer. Yeah, yeah.
Wait, what was not answered? Just give me a second. Was this answered? Which one am I missing? Should we also see Condo in the dashboard? No, because Condo is not giving you any resources and all that. I mean, maybe eventually we can add it in, right, Nabil, in the dashboard, so people can enter the Condo from the dashboard. But
Yeah, Sure, but only if it's really needed. Right now, the Prime dashboard, it's gonna have so many things that we're gonna do what's absolutely necessary first, like questing and crafting, and then we'll think about what else we can add to it. That would be uh because crafting and questing is very important,
Yeah,
and we give it more priority than just having the cribs over there as a point of entry.
yeah, because
So
you
yeah,
can go into claim.virtua.com and you can enter the condo, right? But yeah,
absolutely.
maybe we can ask the devs if if how much of a task it is to connect that there as well so people can enter. I'll write it down and we can discuss it. Um, if we stack two rare
Sure.
if we stack two rare bots on the land plot in dashboard, will it allow the second rare to take over when the first one has done its for claim? Yes, yes. If but it just takes 24 hours for the one to recharge. But yeah, in theory, the other one will take over because the auto claim will just take the battery out of one. So yeah. Um, if we want to achieve gameplay, we would need a lag-free environment to make it competitive. What do you mean with that?
I think what he means is basically this is why essentially the WebGL came in first. It's because we want to have a lag-free environment to play in, and then worry about memory issues or whatnot, or on PC builds or whatnot.
Yeah, because it's probably harder to first do a standalone and then put it on the web with the stuff that you built. Doing the WebGL first and then standalone is probably easier.
Yeah, because there's a whole system in the back end too, right? Like the devs have to. This is just a presentation, like where the display happens, but there's a whole like server database and all the development that these developers do in the back end. That's like probably 80-90% of the work. So that's happening usually a lot more initially, which in our case is now. And then once like that's all settled in, all these things are happening, these emissions, like crafting, all of that, then it would be probably a better point in parallel to move to something more art and dev heavy in terms of visual looks. So yeah, otherwise there will be a lot of lags if we. I'm not sure if that's a task people want to take on right now. Just like Nabil was saying, memory issues, stuff like that.
Yeah. Here I have a question for you, Ifi. Plots emission rate will change and keep updating as the new plots are claimed and more resources are released into the economy. Not right.
Okay, so what do they mean? Plot emissions, like the resources that are emitting from the plot?
Yeah, will the distribution, or for example, how much are people getting the resources now, change when new land is sold?
No, like plot. The emission rate is actually the core at the core of the algorithm. Like that's one thing that we won't be changing. Like per plot, per size of plot, it will be fixed for the foreseeable future. The only way that we will change it, even in future, which is unlikely, is when we have to really balance it out or something like that, and it's from the community's demand that hey, let's change this a little bit to balance the game out or something. But right now, based on all the simulations that we did and everything, it's going to stay fixed. And as I said earlier, if people don't have enough resources to craft an item anymore because those resources are exhausted, then the price of that item goes up, uh, just like in the real world.
Bye, Nabil. Nabil just texted he needs to jump off. But one thing we need to say, right, is that, for example, when you were doing calculation and this distribution of the resources is based on the weekly emission, right? And there's a cap at weekly emission. Of course, this for now is not a problem where all the land is not sold, right? But even if all the land would be sold, people would still be getting what they get. the not the problem, but the difference is then the bots. Can you talk about this?
Yeah.
So maybe
So
people will understand better.
I think initially, as you said, because there's limited number of resources a plot can extract within a week, uh, but on the whole planet, inside of it, there's a lot of resources, just like a real planet. It's just that our ability to extract them is not that much. Now let's imagine a planet where all the plots are taken, and in that case, again, our limitation to extract the resources together is a certain number, and then you can actually put boosters on, like robots, bots, and whatnot that can actually help you increase the extraction rate. But the total amount that will be available throughout the planet would still be the same, which means that again there will be towards the end a little bit of competition between people where they want to actually extract a little bit more than the other by using some of the game mechanics that are available, which includes bars and other things in the future as well, probably.
Right? That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. We'll see. We will see. Right? After now a first week or 2 weeks, we'll do a report on the resources and give you some back end data. I know a lot of people, loves to play with numbers and all that. So that's going to be great to see how users
Yeah,
interacted.
I can't wait for the feedback. Actually, one of the greatest things being on a project like this is that we are very close to our community. So, I mean, just like in this session, like I mean, anybody can give any feedback or suggestions, and we're actually looking forward to that because that will actually shape up the product a lot better and balance things out a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that I was when I looked at the ratio between each, I was happy. I think it looks really good. I think it's fair, and now it's up to you to make it fair as well with the items. So let's see what you did there soon.
Yeah, it'll be good. Like I mean, it's just like any other gameplay. Like after a certain time, you want the player to progress. So that's how we're doing it. Essentially, we want that after playing the game a little bit, you get to do own something, make something, do something, get access to some new feature, these kind of things. So it's gonna be fun. I think we're not gonna make wait like years on years for anything.
Awesome. Well, now we are almost at an hour. Thanks everyone for putting all the questions in. Ify, thank you again for stopping by. You are the best, and we'll get you back as soon as we start talking about the crafting. You and Sharuz are the team to go with.
That'd be
Th-
awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks everyone, and stay safe, stay crypto, and good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. Bye bye.